I was driving home, dropped my kids off at daycare, got my oldest one, she's chilling at the house, and I get a notification. The Dolphins, they have finally traded a Jalen Ramsey in an interesting trade, a 1-for-1, as far as I know, for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm going to be, again, exploring this and reacting to this in real time. We know Jonnu Smith was a part of the trade, but big trade for the Dolphins, man. Kind of insane. I don't really get to talk to y'all during the early stream. During the off season, I was literally about to sit down and finish watching guards and centers for the 2026 class. Currently going through Wendell Moe from Arizona, now of Tennessee. But let's get into this, because golly, it's a big trade. It's a big trade. So let's get into this sucker. So we got the Dolphins send in Jalen Ramsey to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers in return sending Minkah Fitzpatrick. So kind of a homecoming for Minkah Fitzpatrick. This is a different organization than Minkah left. So hoping things go well with that. But we also have, again, the Jonnu Smith thing looming. But let's take this one piece at a time, right? So the Miami Dolphins have traded 3-time All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey and tight end. Okay, so this is all a part of the same trade. Okay, that was kind of my question. Potentially part of the same trade. And tight end Jonnu Smith, which we heard rumors about that about a month ago, I think, before we got into the actual draft. To the Miami Dolphins in exchange for Minkah Fitzpatrick and a pick swap. Pick swap was kind of more of the Jonnu Smith end of the trade there, but it's kind of big. It's kind of huge. The Steelers, if you're a Steelers fan, you Aaron Rodgers is now in town. This is kind of a make or break year for Mike Tomlin. This team, or at least I feel like the fan base is kind of done with just being mediocre. Hey, Mike Tomlin, we know you have a winning record every year. We kind of want something a little bit more substantial. We want a substantial playoff run. So they're going to add him to that cornerback room that just added Darius Slay. They have Joey Porter Jr. They lose their best safety. You still got Deshaun Elliott, who I wanted the Dolphins to retain. Not last year, but the offseason before that. And I want to take a quick look because I haven't done my Steelers deep dive yet. Fun fact, I will be recording, I believe, the Commanders deep dive either tomorrow or Wednesday. I have to look into that. And then we're going to move on to the NFC and AFC North. I will get the Cowboys later. I have someone I want to come join me for the Cowboys, and they're currently on vacation this week. So we'll get to the Cowboys when we get there. But as far as the Steelers, they did acquire Juan Thornhill, who was banged up last year, but is a solid safety. He's a good safety. Miles Kilbrew, mainly just a special teamer there. Sebastian Castro could be interesting. A guy who I feel like is more of this like slot corner, can play a little bit in the box, but can't really play outside corner because you worry about some of the limitations, suppose you would say, with his athletic ability. But man, that defense, that quarterback room now looks very scary. Jalen Ramsey, fun player. It's not just like he's a corner, because you bring in Darius Slay. He's someone that can bounce around the secondary. Like, he's at his best when you use him in a versatile manner that you could just bounce him around. So he isn't just a cornerback. Someone you could kick into the slot. You could play at safety. So, golly. That's a big move. On top of that, they bring in Jonnu Smith. They already have Pat Freiermuth. I'm kind of curious what the Pat Freiermuth contract currently looks like. Can't remember if he has been extended in any meaningful way. It looks like he was. 4 years, $48 million. And that was just done at the beginning of last season. So, and I mean, okay, it's not like Jonnu Smith's coming in for Pat Freiermuth's job. Jonnu Smith's got 1 year on his deal. And he's familiar with stinking Arthur Smith. He's someone you could also play as a big slot. He just gives a little bit more firepower. to the squad. So again, that's not something to read too much into, at least when it comes to the future for the Steelers. They're playing for something a bit more substantial next year, because you got to imagine the coaching staff, the front office, they're feeling those coals on their heel. They're in the hot seat. Again, like, you can only be mediocre for so long, and it's kind of been that since Big Ben retired. But massive move there for the Steelers to go out and get Jalen Ramsey. And the Dolphins, I'm not mad at it. Like, you got a disgruntled player, a player that just seemingly didn't want to be there. It sounded like the Dolphins wouldn't have taken anything less than a first or second round pick. But the bigger issue was they wanted a team to take on a majority of the contract. And currently, let's see specifically. So the pick swap, I'll get into it's a minor day 3 pick swap. Basically, the Dolphins are sending a 7th for 2027. They'll get a 5th for 2027. So very minor. So Ramsey will get a $1.5 million raise this season, bringing in a 2025 compensation up to $26.6 million. This is told by Shefty. So are they going to be taken on the contract is kind of my biggest question. I don't really... I guess I imagine that's the case. That's kind of what Chris Greer wanted there. But the Dolphins being able to snag... Like, I was talking with TD, and I know when I talk Dolphins, especially when I have TD on, it could feel very pessimistic. This was objectively a very good move. You're able to get one of the best safeties in the NFL, in a safety room, by the way, because we've kind of already discussed what this kind of means to the Steelers, and I'll take a look at what y'all are saying in the chat in a sec. But the Dolphins safety room, Ifeatu Melifonwu, he's coming off a year where he was hurt and got lost in the shuffle because they moved Brian Branch to a more traditional safety role. They also have Kirby Joseph there. But the year prior, that 2023 season was relatively good. Ashton Davis has been okay in spurts, but I don't think this guy's played over like 350 snaps any given year. You're not feeling great about that unit. You're just not. Minkah Fitzpatrick radically changes that. It does. Is our cornerback room going to be sweet cheeks dog water? Yes, 100%. Probably one of, if not the worst corner room currently in the NFL. It's Storm Duck. Maybe corner 2 is going to be Cam Smith, or maybe they drafted Jason Marshall from Florida this past draft, who was a guy that kind of had his struggles through his career and kind of had a solid season last year. But still, rookie. Corner room's going to be trash, man. It just is. They also brought in Artie Burns. They got Kader Kohu, who has experience on the outside, but I think he's at his best when he's in the slot. But at the very least, you got a good fail-safe. You got a difference maker, a playmaker, a guy that can create the big play. I mean, let's take a look at what he's done since leaving Miami, other than just become massive regret for Dolphins fans. Because, dude, he's been stellar. He's been stellar in Pittsburgh. Here, I'm just pulling up the stats real quick for Minkah Fitzpatrick. All right, since leaving Miami, that was back in 2019. He has had years with 5 interceptions, 4 interceptions, 6 interceptions. Granted, the last 2 years, which 2023 he was kind of banged up. Only 1 interception over the last 2 years. So you don't love that. But this is a dude that relatively good run stuffer. It's not like he's going to get a crazy amount of stops in the run game, but really relatively good. I would say a solid tackler. Gets his hand on the football a ton. A ton. And at the very least, has been a difference maker in terms of the turnovers. Granted, it hasn't really been the case the last 2 seasons. I mean, I'm excited about it. Our safety room was trash, but maybe the Dolphins could bring in a Rasul Douglas because they're getting a little bit of a cap relief from Jonnu Smith moving on. Jalen Ramsey moving on. That contract that they're bringing on here with Minkah. Take a quick gander at it. 4 years, $73 million. So are already substantially less than what Jalen Ramsey was getting. And this is kind of one of the biggest issues I have with the Dolphins. Like, you look at this roster just from the starter perspective. It's like, we got a lot of star players that we pay. The depth is terrible. The depth is terrible with the Dolphins. I don't want to say they don't draft well, but when they do draft well, they don't retain those stars. Granted, Tua, a guy that we retained, quarterback, most important position. We'll see. Can he stay healthy? Because I think he could flirt with that top 10, top 12 quarterback potential. He's got the stats for it, but he's also not great against good teams. He's just not. He's got like a 1-9 record against teams above 500, or at least finish above 500 over the course of a season. But we've seen Christian Wilkins walk, Robert Hunt walk, Javon Holland walk. These guys are all walking. But we also trade away draft assets. We never have a good amount of picks to actually utilize, like a good amount of picks in the top 4 rounds to actually utilize and go after premium positions, premium players of value. Instead, we're here making 3 5th-round picks and kind of like, okay, well, I mean, we gave away our 3rd and 4th to move up to get Jonah Sevenea, who I really wanted, but that's a hefty price. And now it's like, okay, is Jordan Phillips going to be someone that ends up playing well? Dante Trader, Jason Marshall. We just don't handle our draft capital well, and it's caused us not to be able to develop our team outside of via free agency. It just really hasn't. So Minkah Fitzpatrick's contract, on a side note, just taking a quick look at it, it's a good contract. I like it. I don't mind it. If things get a little hairy and we need to start shedding cap and moving stuff, because keep in mind, in 2026, so not this year, he will be 30. We could move him, and that would release $17 million in cap. Have that what you will. The Dolphins are also another team. I talked about Mike Tomlin being on the hot seat. Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, that front office in general should be very much on the hot seat. It just should. It really should. So it's going to be fascinating. But you think about Anthony Weaver in that defense. You think of Baltimore in general under Mike McDonald. Having a stud safety matters a ton. Kyle Hamilton, former UCLA slot receiver. Kyle Hamilton was an absolute game changer for that secondary. And being able to have that with Minkah Fitzpatrick could be huge. If he could go back to like 2022 again. Last 2 years, we haven't really seen that game-making potential. All in all, it's a big trade for both squads. They're better a lot. I feel good for the Steelers because I don't mind what they have currently at safety. It's a big hit with Fitzpatrick, but Ramsey's a phenomenal move. If you're like, this is a make or break year, you also get Jonnu Smith in that. That's kind of huge. That's kind of huge. Dolphins, we'll see. Like, it's hard to be optimistic as a Dolphins fan. This is a team that hasn't won a playoff game since like 2000. I have slowly graduated, not just middle school, but high school. Dropped out of 2 community colleges. Married, had children, bought a house. During that period, the Dolphins have done nothing in the playoffs. I'm just saying. It's just kind of where we're at. And I guess we'll see, but let's take a quick look at the chat. We got a few y'all in here. If y'all haven't already, please hit that thumbs up. I'm gonna go through the comments. I guess I'll shout out Underdog real quick. If y'all got any questions or you just want to kind of, I don't know, talk to me, because I don't get to talk to y'all over the off season. Like I said, my plan for today was watch centers and guards. That's what it was. But let me give a quick shout out to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you like weekly best ball, you can get in on those best ball leagues right here and right now. A lot of people like playing that. Or I'm a big fan of the higher or lower on player stats. You can do that currently with the MLB. I had a buddy who just hit on a home run parlay in Wrigley Field. He was like, hey, when the winds are blowing in Wrigley, you take the over in home runs. You just do. But if you like that sort of thing, then go ahead, check out Underdog Fantasy. When you download the app, sign up using promo code Broshmo. They match that first deposit up to $100 dues. It's just a fun way to play. But as always, please play responsibly, play within your means. Let's go to the chat, and then I guess I'll head out and I'll head out and start watching these guards and centers. I'm like 4 guards deep. So Dolphins rebuilding. Minkah Fitzpatrick isn't necessarily a rebuild move. This is coming from Ian C6. I'm not going to say the rest of your digits because I'm hoping that's not the last 4 of your social security number. Dolphins rebuilding question mark? Not necessarily. It's a move that we can rebuild with, because if things don't work out this year, we could get off that contract next year. That's kind of where we're at. We got Eric. He says, not about the trade, but do you see Downs as the best safety draft prospect in recent memory? Do you see Aller as a late one, maybe early 2? Well, I've already done the quarterback rankings, and I have Aller top 50. Late 1, early 2 right now. I just kind of want to see more big time potential. I want to see him step up in big moments. Caleb Downs, I haven't got to the safety group yet, but they actually sat down and started writing it up an eval on. But I mean, I've watched him via the broadcast, just watching casually. The dude looks phenomenal, can do anything you could ask him to. I'm pretty excited. I'm probably not going to get to the safeties until the end of July-ish, maybe early August, because I'm going to go from offensive line straight to the defensive line. And then depending on how I feel, maybe I'll do corners instead of linebackers. I don't know. We'll see. But safety group, I probably won't get till the end of July. Eric, again, if Tua gets injured again, would you be? Yes. No. Yeah. If Tua gets hurt again, and contract wise, I think we're probably not in a great spot when it comes to Tua. Let me just pull up the actual contract for Tua. Keep in mind, we just gave Tua big money last year. Yeah, his salary is guaranteed until 2027. And even in 2028, there's some guarantees. We wouldn't be looking until after 2026 to get off of his contract. It would just hurt us. So we've tied ourselves to Tua. Kind of is what it is. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I think the Dolphins have made moves to where he can stay healthy. Minkah's been mid. This is from Christian. Minkah's been mid for the last 3 seasons. 2 seasons. Last 2 seasons. Storm Duck season. Golly, I hope. That was a great name. I remember Storm Duck when he was at North Carolina. I think he got hurt or something. Things just didn't work out. He transfers to Louisville, has an okay year. Still wasn't largely, in my opinion, like a UDFA. But we'll see, man. Great name. I love that name, Storm Duck. Eric again. I should have said at the beginning of this at Broshmo in the chat so I could kind of focus on some of y'all's comments. That's my fault. Sorry, I haven't streamed in a while. Why is my nose always stuffy? Allergies. Terrible allergies. I have terrible allergies. That's just a me problem. Do you watch the NBA? If so, thoughts on the KD trade? I don't follow NBA like that. I'll watch it, but I don't follow it like that, unfortunately. Once I got into covering like the draft full time, I really diverted a lot of that attention there. I've been trying to get back into baseball, but the Marlins always suck, dude. It feels like every year's a rebuild. They're just trading away players, acquiring prospects, and it's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to get back into baseball when the Marlins suck all the time. It just is. We got Dexy Gaming. Y'all should 100% give my boy Russell Douglas a home, and also rooting for Jalen. Oh, dude, I'm excited about Jalen Conyers. I don't know if he makes the squad, but I liked him. I liked him in 2022 when he was with Arizona State. It was nice to see he kind of had that hey, I'm still here. I'm still a good player, guys, last year with the Red Raiders. Dolphins got a pick and salary cap space. That is really good. Okay, they didn't get a pick from what I'm seeing. They got salary cap space. It was a pick swap. So they turned a 7th into a 5th. So that's what I'm seeing. All right. On a side note, I'm not a Heat fan. Never really have been. I was actually a big Mavericks fan. I loved Dirk and Nash. Then Nash went on to Phoenix with, golly, tell me, one of the most underrated teams, but because they never won championship. But with Amari, they had Joe Johnson. Who else was on that team? Quentin Richardson or something. That was a crazy team. Sean Marion, I think, was on that squad too. Then Marion went to the Mavs there, and I think they had Josh Howard where they beat the Heat in a really epic series. But yeah, I'm more of a player guy in the NBA. I like to follow players I like. Zimbot. Do I like the trade? I think it's fine. It's a good trade for both squads, considering where they're at. Christian's back here says, you think the Steelers are contenders now or one playoff win and then exit? I'm still kind of in the boat of one playoff win, then exit. Rodgers, while he put up all right stats last year, he couldn't turn a lot of scoring opportunities into touchdowns with the Jets. And I know there was a lot going on with the Jets. It wasn't just Rodgers, but Rodgers kind of has that stigma. And I have to see it before I can believe it, really. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, guys. I got some work to do. I just kind of wanted to give y'all my general reaction and thoughts to everything. If you're unfamiliar, if you don't know the trade was Jalen Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, a 2027 seventh round pick, going to the Steelers for a 2027 fifth round pick and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Don't necessarily know if that was like all bottled up into one trade or if it was like two separate trades, but does it really matter? Does it really matter? But if you don't know, I'm going to go ahead and shout out some of the stuff going on in the channel. We're currently having our deep dive series. I'm bringing on a guest for each of those episodes, so it's not just me giving my opinion, maybe on your favorite teams, but also some people who are very familiar with the team. So it's not just my opinion. We're also getting another chef in the kitchen, so to speak. And that's been pretty fun. I've had guys on that I've really wanted to talk to, guys like TD when it comes to the Dolphins, because he's just so pessimistic. And I kind of fall into that category as well, but I like to be a little bit more optimistic. Bobby Skinner was a hella fun when we got talking about the Giants. I'm really excited about this Cowboys episode that'll be recorded eventually. It was fun being on there with guys like Richie and Dan for the Bills. Kobe, as always, Patriots Global's fun. And then with the NFC North, I'm looking at a ton of fun names to have that I can't wait to talk to about their squads. The AFC North, still hunting down some guys. But yeah, be on the look for the deep dive series. That's always fun. I think it's a good pivot into Marcus's, because Marcus, if you don't know, that franchise guy, he goes hella deep. I'm just kind of I'm that appetizer. If you're looking for the main course, he gives you that main course in like 2.5 hours. I try to stick to just an hour with those deep dive episodes. Also, I'm doing my summer deep dive into the 2026 NFL draft class. I'm preparing my Google spreadsheet for that. And currently, we're wrapping up the offensive line with center and guards. And eventually, I'm hoping maybe by the end of the week, I'll have that ready for y'all. I was out camping last week, so I wasn't able to do some film studies, but back in the lab, I'm doing that. The hella fun. Right now, I don't know if it's a thing that'll get done this year, but I'm looking at getting a website to where I could kind of filter the draft guide too, and it'll just be more cosmetically pleasing. On top of that, I don't know if it's going to be possible this year. I'm trying to strap a mock draft simulator, the perfect mock draft simulator for you guys to that. I'm trying to take a bunch of the great ideas out there and just combine them into one to make one draft, or like mock draft simulator where it's like, yes, this is everything I like about all these other simulators into one. We'll see. That's a lot of work, but that's kind of the goal. That's the vision. Before I head out, I'm going to take on one more question from Skater Boy, because he's been around for a minute. I wonder if Tate Ratledge moves to center for the Lions because now they are facing Glasgow hurt. Yeah, wasn't Ratledge taking some of the snaps at center during like the mini camps? I'm not positive of that. I haven't done the Lions episode. I'm excited. I'm going to have Dosa Dion, Troy, on for the Lions episode, and he's just so fun to talk to. He's also a guy that really gets into the draft like I do, so I just love having him on. But thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Again, a quick little stream here to discuss the trade, especially since it involved my Dolphins. I had to hop on. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.